So welcome everyone to class 80. My goodness, 80 classes. What a huge blessing for me. And we're on Bible prophecy on Israel in the book of Revelation. So we're going to review this evening the material we discussed last week, starting with a review of the Great White Throne Judgment. It looks like Danny's connection maybe is not very good, but we'll see if she comes back with a better connection. So starting with Johan, can you please start with Revelation 20, verse 13 in English?
And the sea gave up the dead which were in it, and death and hell delivered up the dead which were in them, and they were judged every man according to their works.
All right, a heavy verse. And so can you repeat that in Portuguese, please, someone?
E deu o mar os mortos que nele havia, e a morte e o inferno derão os mortos que neles havia, e foram julgados cada segundo as suas obras.
Very nice. And again, I think you're showing off a little bit, Johan, to go directly from perfect English to near perfect Portuguese. So congratulations. It's more difficult when you do both, one after another. I heard one thing, I think it's havia, and maybe you said avia. So havia. Any other suggestions, ladies?
I think instead of deram, it's more like deram.
Deram.
Deram, very good, yes.
Okay, excellent. All right, so let's continue. So Joyce, can you please give us question A in English?
Why does the sea give up the dead?
All right, so do you remember what is John in Revelation 20 talking about the sea giving up the dead?
Everyone who died on sea?
Oh, excellent. And when was the biggest event when most people?
The flood.
Exactly. So the Noah's flood, as it's often called. And so, and the other thing is, and then actually we'll then go on to this in a second. One thing that we learn is that grave and death are synonymous, and we learn that from the next verse. And so Emily, can you please repeat 1 Corinthians 15:55?
O death, where is thy sting? O grave, where is thy victory?
What a beautiful verse, isn't it? And again, I think that's repeated. Here comes Danny back. That's repeated in Handel's Messiah. So it's one of the verses that are directly sung most beautifully. So who has that in Portuguese, please?
Onde está o morte, o teu aguilhão? Onde está o inferno, a tua vitória?
Beautiful. Any suggestions, ladies, for Joyce?
No, very good, Joyce. Aguilhão is a very difficult word.
Okay, excellent. All right. I think the Van Brugel family is excelling already this evening. Okay, welcome back, Danny. Good to have you. And so now, Monica, can you please read question B in English? Question B.
Okay. Why do both death and hell deliver up the dead?
Okay, the dead.
The dead.
Very good. Okay, so why, it sounds confusing, and death and hell delivered up the dead. What's the difference? Okay, Danny, you're on mute. So I think I heard, if I saw you saying something, but you're on mute, just to remind you. So do you remember from last week? So why do both death and hell deliver up the dead? Did you want to say something, Danny? Quer falar alguma coisa, Danny? Okay, está bem. Okay, so what's the difference between death and hell?
Hell is also body, but also soul.
And most importantly, hell has the souls. Exactly right. So when it's saying the sea gave up the dead, then and grave and death are synonymous according to 1 Corinthians 15:55, then we can say that death is that when the body gives up, the body is given up from the grave, and hell is when the soul is given up. Okay, so they're both delivered up at the same time to be judged. All right, excellent. So Johan, can you repeat, or rather give us Revelation 20, verse 14, please?
And death and hell were cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death.
All right, beautiful. And the Portuguese, please?
E a morte e o inferno foram lançados no lago de fogo. Esta é a segunda morte.
Very good. I think maybe the same thing in the verb, you're emphasizing the end of the verb instead of something further up. So it's foram instead of foram.
Yes.
Any other suggestions, ladies?
No.
No.
Okay, very good. And so Joyce, can you please give us question C?
What is the difference between hell and the lake of fire?
Okay, so verse 14 just said now we're talking that death and hell are cast into the lake of fire. Well, aren't the lake of fire and hell the same, or are they different?
I think hell is temporary, lake of fire is eternal.
Absolutely right. Excellent. You get an A. You remember from last class perfectly, Joyce. Thank you. All right. And so, Danny, would you like to say question D in English? If you would, raise your hand. Yeah, there you are. There you go. Oh, okay, go for it. So question D in English, please.
Why is this a second death?
Very good. Very good. So why is this? So go slowly when pronouncing English. And so why is this a second death? But very good. Excellent. I think you have a musical ear because your pronunciation is very good. Okay, so why is this called a second death in verse 14? So why does verse 14 call this a second death? Wow.
Because they died before.
Already died.
Correct. And what were you going to say, Emily?
No, because then you would have had already died.
Yep. Okay.
That's-
But then that's true. But then why do they go through a second death? What's the big deal? I mean, souls are eternal, right?
Eternal death.
Okay. But something else, remember, they are in resurrected bodies. Even if for a short while. Are they eternal resurrected bodies for the unsaved? No.
No.
Okay, so the second death is the bodies which were just resurrected now burn up. Okay.
Oh, they don't have a body in the lake of fire.
Yeah. Well, no, this is before. So we're talking about the Great White Throne Judgment. And so recall, as it mentioned in the prior verses, there's a resurrection occurring. That's why, so when the sea gives up the dead, it's giving up the body, not the soul. And so remember, even it's completely discomposed, it's in molecules all over the place, it doesn't matter. It's getting put back together and resurrected for the Great White Throne Judgment.
Okay.
Otherwise, they'd just be calling the souls. But no, for the Great White Throne Judgment, both body and soul get together there, and then the judgment occurs, and then the body has to burn up in the lake of fire. Very sad, but true.
thought it was a continual burning, but no.
And once they get into it, yes. But
Oh, okay.
so what we're saying is the second death is when that resurrected body, boom, goes into the lake of fire.
Oh, okay.
Now, you're right. The lake of fire is continuous, but I'm not sure they have a real body any longer. Okay?
Okay.
So they're feeling the heat, they're feeling the torture. Remember the rich man, not Lazarus, but the rich man who maltreated. The rich man goes, give me I'm so burning up. Please give me a drop of water on my tongue. The poor man, he has no body. He's imagining he in hell, that he in the interior of the earth, he's imagining that he has a body and that he has a tongue which can be assuaged by a drop of water. He's just a soul. So in the lake of fire, it might be similar, right? That they don't actually have a body after it burns up, but they feel like they have a body.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm just guessing, but from that story of Lazarus, we already have a picture of someone who is a soul only, no body, and yet still thinks or feels as if he has a burning body.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think Danny's connection is maybe not terrific. So she went out, and we'll see if she comes back again with a better connection. So then, Emily, can you please say Revelation 20:15? Oh, and one thing I'll suggest to Donnie, maybe is that she turns off her video and just does audio. So when you have a poor connection, that means maybe she'll drop out less easily. But Emily, go ahead with Revelation 20:15 if you'd like.
And whosoever was not found written in the book of life was cast into the lake of fire.
Thank you. Very good. In Portuguese, please.
E aquele que não foi achado escrito no livro da vida foi lançado no lago do fogo. De fogo.
Very nice. Any suggestions, ladies?
I think you pronounced foi with a little sound of V. So instead of voi, it's more like foi with an F
Foi.
sound. Yes, very good.
Okay. Thank you. I'm just finishing a message for Danny if she's able. Okay, terrific. So, Monica, can you please give us question E in English?
The unsaved that join who already in the lake of fire.
Oh,
Fire.
Uh-huh.
thank you. And I forgot to add the missing verb. So one thing is the unsaved. I think you said unsaved, but then a little more of an emphasis, who already is in the lake of fire. My fault. I dropped the is again. Okay, so what do you think? So the unsaved dead join who? Who's already in the lake of fire?
The
Demons, Satan,
false prophet.
the
False prophet?
Antichrist,
That covers it.
prophets.
Okay, the demons you said, and just to make sure, and also fallen angels.
Yeah.
Okay, because there's some question whether a fallen angel is synonymous with a demon or not.
Ah, yeah.
Okay, I'm not quite sure, because my guess is fallen angels, maybe they can take body form or something, whereas I don't know. So just I'll leave that an open question. I'm not a specialist in demonology. Okay, not yet. Who knows? One day. So then, Johan, can you please give us Matthew 25, verse 41?
Then shall he say also unto them on the left hand, depart from me, ye cursed, into everlasting fire, prepared for the devil and his angels.
Okay, and a 1-2 punch, can you please give us Portuguese as well?
Então dirá também aos que estiverem à sua esquerda: apartai-vos de mim, malditos, para o fogo eterno, preparado para o diabo e seus anjos.
Very good. Now, because we in past classes, we focused so much on how to produce the AM at the end of a verb, I think you're emphasizing it. So you're giving the emphasis on the AM part of the word. So it would be, oops, where am I seeing this?
Estiverem, right?
Yeah, thank you. Yes, so
Estiverem.
yeah, so estiverem, and so the emphasis is before the EM.
Mhm.
Okay, so very good. All right, so excellent. Moving on, and so question F. Joyce, can you please give us question F in English?
Which judgment is this called?
I forget, sorry.
Yeah, I also forget it. I was like,
The
oh.
nations.
Yes, thank you, Johan. Oh, thank you,
Oh,
Johan.
which
Save the
one?
group.
Which one is it?
I tried not to say it out loud. Oh, not too loud.
Which was it? Which was it?
He tried to give it to Joyce. Okay, but I heard it. I heard it. Okay.
Judgment of
Thank
the
you.
nations.
Thank you, Lord.
Judgment
Someone
of the
remembered.
nations.
That's right. Someone remembered Judgment of the Nations tonight. Okay.
I was like talking to him. Oh, I forgot the judgment.
Okay. All right. We're gonna that's gonna it's not an extra credit. That's gonna be the main question in the final quiz.
Judgment of nations.
And
I'm gonna
so far,
write it down.
so far only Johan is gonna pass the test. All right. So okay. So now let's go. So that was Joyce. So Emily, can you please give us question G?
How does it differ from the other judgments?
All right, thank you. What do you think? So how does the judgment of the nations differ from the two other judgments? And which are the two other judgments?
The Great White Throne and the sheep and the goats, was it? Or is that the same thing?
No, sheep and
Judgment seat of Christ.
sheep and the goats is the judgment of the nations.
Yeah, that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's.
And Emily, what were you going to say? We go to Emily.
The judgment seat of Christ.
Excellent. Okay, so that's the first one. And the judgment seat of Christ is the good one, where I expect to see each and every one of you. Okay, so all right, so those are the two other ones, but how does the judgment of the nations differ?
It includes both the goat and the sheep.
Correct. So it's both the saved and the unsaved. And one other thing we believe about it.
Happens on earth.
Exactly. Very good. Okay. So you guys have recuperated yourselves in my eyes with question G. All right. So now we're actually on to Revelation 21. Okay. So let's start now the study of the new heaven and new earth. And I'm sorry for pessimists and for misanthropes. There's no more good news. It's all good news now, okay? Revelation 21, so there's no more tears, there's no more bad news, there's no more death, sadness. It's all good news from now on. You know, with a few warnings in the midst, but it's all wonderful. So, Monica, can you please give us Revelation 21, verse 1 in English, please?
Okay. And I saw a new heaven and a new earth. The first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea.
Very good. I didn't hear the earth were passed away as well, but very good.
passed away.
Thank you. And who has that in Portuguese, please?
E vi novo céu e uma nova terra, porque já o primeiro céu e a primeira terra passarão, e o mar já não existe.
Very nice. Any suggestions, ladies?
No,
Okay.
passaram.
Say that
Nossa,
again.
maybe we should do passaram.
Passarão.
Passaram, yes.
Okay, very good. Okay, so now we're going to get you into a little bit of science. So maybe I'm looking towards Johan, who I think might have had a bit of a scientific background. And Emily, no pressure, okay? No pressure. So that was, okay, so Johan, can you please give us question 1 in English?
What law of thermodynamics helps to explain the process described?
Okay. Okay, first of all, how many laws of thermodynamics are there? Lots or just a few?
3.
Okay, and so which of the 3 do you think this is?
Either the first or the second. I don't
Okay,
remember.
very good. All right, so okay, you've narrowed it down and you're correct. Now you have a 50-50 chance. Is it first or second?
I'll
Anyone
leave
think?
it to Johan.
Number 1, correct. Okay, so this is the first, and now we'll explain why it's the first, or why it seems to be describing perfectly what John reveals in chapter 21, verse 1. So Joyce, can you please give us question 2 in English?
What does that law prove?
Okay, so what do you think? So take a look at Revelation 21:1. Is Revelation 21:1 talking about the law of entropy? No, that's the second law of thermodynamics. And so what's this one?
It's a law of conservation.
Okay, excellent. And very good, Emily. Fantastic. And so another way to describe the law of conservation is that no energy is now being created or destroyed. Okay, it's within a closed system, but no energy is now being created or destroyed. So
It only changes form.
exactly. And so remember, can a scientist, any scientist, tell you what energy actually is?
Yeah.
Nope. Okay, it's one of those mysteries. Okay, scientists say they can tell us anything and we don't need God anymore because they can explain everything pretty soon. It's unfortunately the reason that my father doesn't go to the Unitarian church service anymore, because he believes science is about to explain everything. Okay, but here, well, we don't even know what energy is. And so no energy is now being created or destroyed means it just transformed. So that's why I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth were passed away. So all that energy somehow just transforms. It doesn't so the old earth and heaven don't disappear. They transform into the new ones. And so just remember, the law of thermodynamics are the most strongly proved, believed, confirmed scientific laws. And they perfectly fit what the Bible says. Okay, so just to show, the Bible in no way and no form is against real science. In fact, it anticipates real science, and true science is actually about only revealing God, how God did it and does things. Okay, so it's only about revealing God's work. Great. All right, so I'm glad I get in a little bit of the science there. Excellent job, Emily. Okay, so after Joy, so back to, and I just wanted to say, so Danny, I think she might have given up because of a connection problem. And so Johan and Joyce, when you speak to her, maybe you can recommend, she doesn't have to necessarily find a better connection, but if she stops using video and only does audio, then maybe she won't freeze. I suspect she was freezing and then dropping out. So if you can give her that tip, she's very welcome. And she doesn't have to feel bad if we don't see her image. Okay, so Emily, can you give us question 3, please, in English?
How did the first heaven and earth pass away?
Okay, so there's some kind of transformation, but do we know what kind of transformation that was?
They are burned up.
Absolutely right. And so 2 Peter 3:10 gives that to us. So Monica, can you please give us 2 Peter chapter 3, verse 10 in English?
But the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in the which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. The earth also, and the works that are the rain shall be burned up.
Beautiful, Monica. One suggestion at the last line, fervent heat.
Okay.
Fervent heat.
Fervent heat. Okay.
Thank you. All right, who has that in Portuguese, please?
Mas o dia do Senhor virá como o ladrão de noite, no qual os céus passarão com grande estrondo, e os elementos ardendo se desfarão, e a terra e as obras que nela há se queimarão.
Any suggestions, ladies?
It's queimarão, not
Queimarão.
Yes, queimarão.
Mhm.
Any other suggestions?
No,
All right, very good. And so Johan, back to you. So can you give us question 4 in English, please?
What is the one thing that will not burn up?
Righteous?
Well, here's the thing. I don't think we have a body to burn up anyway. So it's true. We don't disappear. So that, yes, it's true. We don't burn up. But what's the one thing that kind of, it's kind of similar to that, but the answer is in the next verse.
Thy word.
Yeah, okay. So, and it's promised not just here, but in some other verses as well. So Joyce, can you please give us Psalms 119, verse 160. And by the way, Psalms 119 has the glory of being what in the entire Bible?
The longest for
Chapter, longest chapter.
chapter. Yeah, sorry, chapter.
But
Okay.
also the middle of the Bible.
Yeah, and it's the
Absolutely. It's
middle of the
amazing.
Bible.
Yeah, it really is. And it's also about the word, and we all know who the word is. So it's quite an incredible psalm. So go ahead. So Joyce, can you give us then Psalm 119, verse 160 in English?
Thy word is true from the beginning, and every one of the righteous judgments endureth forever.
Beautiful. I think I just didn't hear from the beginning.
From the beginning.
Thank you. And so who has that in Portuguese, please?
A tua palavra é a verdade desde o princípio, e cada dos juízos da tua justiça dura para sempre.
Beautiful. Any suggestions, ladies?
No.
Mm,
Okay, so in other words, Joyce's words are also good for good to go. Excellent. And so just and it's said elsewhere as well. The one thing that seems to make it through the transformation is the word. Now, whether that's actual Bibles, maybe not, but I think we all get it that every single word of the Bible will be preserved and unchanged in whatever in that transformation from the old to the new. So Emily, can you please give us question 5 in English?
Why is this burning such good news to believers?
Okay, so what's this? Remember in Noah's flood, God used water to destroy everything, and now he's using fire, and he's kind of used it a lot since Noah's flood, if you think of it. During the tribulation, a lot burns up as well. But why is it such good news now that at the end of the millennium period and in this amazing transformation that it's burning things up?
Because everything is made new.
Yep. And if you think of it, if drowning something in water, it doesn't disappear very, very easily. Whereas if you burn something, even though the first law of thermodynamics is telling the energy is just transforming to another thing. So when something burns, it's being transformed into heat and smoke. But the energy isn't disappearing. But there's something particularly nice about the old earth, the old fallen earth and heavens burning. So let's just look at 2 Peter chapter 3, verses 12 to 13. And so Monica, if you could read. Monica, you're very lucky tonight. You're getting all the good verses.
Oh, yes.
Okay, 2 Peter chapter 3, verses 12 to 13, please.
Looking for an hasting unto the coming of the day of God, wherein the heavens behind being on fire shall be dissolved, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. Nevertheless, the last, we according to his promise, look for new heavens and a new earth, wherein dwelleth
Righteousness.
Huh? Righteousness.
Very good.
Oh,
Okay, so that was a lot, and also some difficult words. The hasting up in the top line is a little bit of an old word. You won't see that today, but haste is like going quickly. So looking for and hasting. So looking forward quickly. And I think that's it. Very good. And so who has that in Portuguese, please?
Aguardando e apressando-vos para a vinda do dia de Deus, em que os céus em fogo se desfarão e os elementos ardendo se fundirão. Mas nós, segundo a sua promessa, aguardamos novos céus e nova terra, em que habita a justiça.
Very good. A couple of suggestions. I think in verse 12, you said ardando, but it's ardendo with the E.
Ardendo.
And then at the end of verse 13, you took the MK and said M key. So you've done that before. You treat it like a key, like a chavi. but it's
Mhm.
que habita.
And K.
Any other suggestions, ladies?
I think sales, a little bit more open the accent, because if you say more like sales, it's yours in Portuguese.
Zeus.
Sales, yes, very good.
Right, because exactly with that accent agu over the e, then you need the emphasis there. Otherwise, it's that
Zeus.
word. Very good.
Mhm.
Yes, very good.
Nice. And I'm not sure that's what we use in English because I think I remember that from French. Accent aigu. Maybe Emily knows what the correct word. Do you know the correct word in English, Johan, for a word like that accent? Anyway, it's so rare in English. We only use it really for foreign words. So, okay, so beautiful. So how do we answer why is burning such good news to the believers? Because it's taking away all of the sin evidence. Okay, so
Sorry.
remember, no problem. So remember, after the fall, death entered creation, and then there's evidence of death all over the earth, everywhere, from fossils, etc. And so the earth is filled with evidence of sin. And if you just drowned it, that might not get rid of it so easily. So burning it all up means all evidence of sin. So it's gone. It was already gone from us the moment that we were resurrected into glorified bodies. All evidence whatsoever, well, sorry, all evidence of sin is gone the moment we accept Jesus Christ as our Lord and Savior. All consequences of sin, as well as, you see what I'm saying? So the results of sin are already taken away at the moment we are saved, but we continue to sin being human until our resurrected bodies and we go to heaven. So we already are completely purified. And now the earth and the heavens get purified. And why the heavens? Johan?
Another interesting thing about what we also read, that the word is forever. God spoke and it became. I mean, that's so everything you see, everything that is around us, which is going to burn up, is the spoken word of God, but it will not be obliterated or be gone. It will just transform. It will be in a different form. So that also comes nicely back to that the law of thermodynamics.
Agreed. Agreed.
Interesting.
And so, but why do we need new heavens?
I think because the old, like there was a war, I think.
Absolutely
Yeah.
right, Joyce. The
Yeah.
heavens were not free from sin,
No.
right? Since Lucifer fell, right?
Yeah.
And the devil in Job has direct access to God, means that the heavens have lots of sin. Okay, so they too had suffered from the consequences of sin. So it's all going to be transformed and purified. And then the Bible uses fire often as a way of purifying, right? So purifying silver 7 times. And so what's that? That is Psalms 6. Psalms 12 verses 6. Like the word being purified like silver 7 times in fire. Okay, sorry.
By the way,
go ahead.
I just received a message from Danny,
Yeah.
that her internet Wi-Fi was very bad.
Okay.
So I recommend her to rejoin us and like with only audio.
Perfect.
Instead of camera.
Thank you. And so I'll keep an eye out. Thank you for reminding me. Sometimes I don't pay attention and it's saying someone wants to be admitted and I'm looking at you and like, oh, wait a second. So thank you for letting me know. Emily, you
Stay in the waiting room.
all right, exactly. Emily, do you have a comment?
I remember that verse. I don't know if it's in Romans that says that all creation groaneth. Groaneth
Yeah, that's
for
a
redemption.
yeah, absolutely. So that's the sin, what over all creation, over
Mhm.
all creation. Very sad. Okay, but hey, it's now it's now gone. We're now in Revelation 21 verse 1, and all of that has been transformed. Praise the Lord. And so, Johan, can you give us question 6 in English, please?
What immense punishment has finally been lifted on all creation?
Well, I think that's kind of an obvious question. How would you phrase that in English? What immense punishment has been lifted on all creation?
Death.
Yep. And death as a consequence of what?
Sin.
Absolutely right. Okay, so death as a consequence of sin. So let's go back to one of my favorite, I have lots of favorite chapters, but Genesis 3 is just mind-blowing in the amount of truth and knowledge and revelations it has for us. So Joyce, can you please give us Genesis chapter 3, verse 17, please?
And unto Adam he said, because thou hast hearkened unto the voice of thy wife, and hast eaten of the tree of which I commanded thee, saying, thou shalt not eat of it, cursed is the ground for thy sake. In sorrow shalt thou eat of it all the days of thy life.
Very nice. In the top line, you took a somewhat new word and you pronounced the first part of it correctly as one would normally pronounce it, here. But English is irregular, and so when you add here and then can, it's no longer hearken, it's hearken.
Hearkens.
Yep, and so this has been hearkened. And so don't.
I've never heard of it.
Okay, so to hearken is to pay attention to hear. It's a slightly different version, older version of hear. But there's a nice sense to it. Hearken is pay attention, etc. So who has that in Portuguese, please?
E Adão disse, porquanto deste ouvidos à voz de tua mulher e comeste da árvore de que te ordenei, dizendo, não comerás dela, maldita é a terra por causa de ti. Com dor comerás dela todos os dias da tua vida.
All right, thank you. Any suggestions, ladies?
No, very good.
Okay, and who's the he referred to in Genesis 3:17? Who's speaking?
God.
Yeah, absolutely. And so this is the sin punishment. But and so here it is, cursed is the ground for thy sake. So it's not just the human race that got cursed. All of creation did. Okay, so the ground was cursed. And wait a minute, I mean, why did Adam, I mean, this looks like Adam, it's like the results of Adam's sin are much worse than Eve's. Why is that? I mean, Eve was told she's going to have pain and labor, that she's going to, want to be kind of like over her husband and not able to. They're not like major, but Adam gets these major punishments. How is that? Isn't that unfair?
Maybe because Eve was deceived and Adam willfully sinned against God, rebelled against God.
Yeah. Okay, that's very good. So Eve was deceived, and I forget the verse, but there's actually I think Paul says directly, Adam was not deceived, and then that meant that he consciously chose sin. Is there another reason why Adam is remember when God comes to the garden, he doesn't say, hello, hey, Eve, where are you? He calls Adam. And so why does Adam get the stiffer what's another reason why Adam gets stiffer punishment?
He was there first. He was first being created.
Yeah, and what did that mean? We call that the natural order. What did it mean that Adam was created first and then Eve?
That he's the head of the family.
Yeah. And so maybe that's it. He was responsible for everything that happened in the Garden of Eden. He was boss. He was the head of the family, and so he was responsible. So whatever his wife did, it came to him. So he was the main responsible one for all that went awry and turned very sad and sorrowful. Okay, so Emily, can you please give us question 7 in English?
Will we miss the old earth and heaven?
All right, do you think of that sound? Okay.
I don't think so.
Okay. Wait a second, guys. You know, it's like, wasn't that like, it was like a beautiful sunset tonight. Aren't there like, you don't think you're going to miss anything?
Not even remember.
No one sleep.
There we go. Okay, Johan is reading the next verse, which is always a good way. Okay, so Monica, you see, it's Monica's turn tonight. God
Yes.
is blessing her with many verses. So Monica, can you please read Isaiah 65, verse 17, please?
For behold, I create new heavens and a new earth, and the former shall not be remembered, nor come into mind.
Mine, very nicely said. Okay, excellent. Who has Portuguese, please? The same.
Okay. Eis que eu crio novos céus e nova terra, e não haverá mais lembrança das coisas passadas, nem mais se recordarão.
Nice. Any suggestions, ladies?
I think ace.
Ace.
Yes.
Yeah, right
Perfect.
up at the top. Perfect. Okay, so, and that's a nice one. It's the same thing that Isaiah says when he says, "Eis que mi, Señor." So here I am, Lord, whatever you need of me. So it's a nice old Portuguese word. Well, there it is. So Johan was correct. You know, you would think that we would miss all sorts of things, even from this sin-filled world, because there's still so much incredible beauty. And Isaiah just tells us, the former shall not be remembered nor come into mind. Okay, so that's kind of interesting. Do you think we'll be able to remember, family members and stuff like that? I kind of think so. Say that again, Emily.
The ones who are saved, yes.
Yeah, okay.
But not have the same kind of love that we have here. We will have the same love for everyone, right?
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. What do you think?
Lately I was reading in the Bible, and there were like there was a saying like what are bound in on earth is bound in heaven. But when you marry someone, you're married before God and before church, so you're bound on earth. So what about there's also a saying that they won't be like husband and wife, but they're like bound. So I was like, what about that?
It's a good question. So I think you're being a lovely wife and saying, how can I think of eternity without Johan right at my side? Impossible. Well, I don't know. All right, because we do know that we're all now married to Jesus Christ. And so I suspect you and Johan will love each other as much as you do now, but you might love Jesus Christ at a whole nother level.
Yeah.
But-
Agape.
Okay, but who says, but here's the thing, it's kind of it. So the former shall not be remembered nor come into mind. What do you think? Does that mean we don't remember? Well, I guess Emily said maybe we only remember our saved family members. But is this verse implying that we're only not remembering the old conditions on earth, but maybe spiritual matters we still remember? I don't know. What do you think?
I think so.
Yeah, we'll see. So again, it's one of those mysteries. We have to wait until we get there. But I kind of think that the spiritual things, which include who we love, who we sacrifice, one of the joys that I look forward to is someone saying, you dropped the seed. You gave the seed and the Holy Spirit watered it. And I think we're promised that, right? So it's not that we forget everything that happened on earth. I don't think so. Okay.
Sorry, guys.
Not at all.
I was laughing.
Nala was saying, I want to be there in eternity also, okay?
Yeah, I didn't expect it.
Okay, and so question 8, please. So that comes back to Johan, question 8 in English.
When was the last time without seas?
Okay, so we just read up in, well, you know, we're spending a lot of time, my apologies, but it just happens sometimes. Revelation 21, verse 1, we're spending the entire class on one verse. My apologies, but the Bible is like that. So we're going back to the last part now of Revelation 21, verse 1, where it says there was no more sea. So the question, when was the last time without seas?
Creation, maybe.
Only creation or until when?
Yeah, I think because the earth was like empty and God created the seas.
When?
So I think at creation, but I don't recall any other events. Yeah, maybe
Okay. Well, wait a
Revelation.
second.
I don't know.
So let's go back to Genesis. So Genesis tells us that he separates, you know, things from each other. But is it clear that he's separating big old seas? You know, he creates all the elements.
Mm-hmm.
But do you think that he creates continents?
Oh no, he creates only one continent. It was after Noah's flood.
There you go, Emily. That's what I tend to believe. But Joyce, I think you know, it's Genesis 1 is a little bit vague. It uses terms like separating from the firmament. You know, so there's separation of elements occurring, but that doesn't mean that the continents have been separated and that there's a bunch of water between them. So I think Emily is right. Okay, so but wait a second. But then where did the seas come from during the 40 days and 40 nights? Where did all that water come from?
The firmament.
Absolutely right. And one other place?
Came up from under the earth.
Absolutely right. Okay, so things, they're like geysers coming up out of the earth that are now filling in fact, drowning all of the earth. And then all of this firmament, which apparently was a very heavy water mist layer that must have been miles or kilometers thick, right? So, so let's continue. So, Joyce, can you give us question 9, please, in English?
Why return to that condition?
I mean, guys, the sea is beautiful. I mean, who does not find the sea beautiful? There's something eternal about the sea. So why does the sea have to go away? I mean, isn't that kind of mean? So why do you think, why are we going back to a time without seas?
There won't be seas in the new earth.
No.
Really?
Well, look again at that verse 21:1, right at the top of the page. It says, and there was
Oh,
no
okay.
more sea.
Okay.
Oh, now Nala's looking right at us. Hi, Nala.
Oh,
She was for a moment. So it's not.
I know.
Nala. We're recording. I shouldn't be so demonstrative. Okay, so there's no clear answer to this, but why is there returning to that condition? Well, one, we're returning to paradise. Okay, so the way that there she is paying attention. I'm looking at you, girl. I'm looking at you.
Oh.
Okay, what is
She sees Uncle Ben.
Nala?
She
What is-
sees you, yeah.
What a sweet girl. What a sweet girl. So nice. Look, there you go. There's Daddy. Okay, so we have a couple of more
Nala.
questions for Nala, and one more question for Nala. And so that was Joyce. So Emily, can you give us question 10 in English?
How will the Earth's hydrology change?
Ah, okay. There's another fancy scientific word. How will the Earth's hydrology change? So where's the water?
Probably back above the earth as the firmament, which will also change the oxygen levels around here. So
Exactly right. Well, or rather, thinking back to before Noah's flood, people, not all of them, because the mutations progressively degraded life, but that Noah might, isn't it true that Noah might have met Adam? Right, because Adam lived to 900 and some years, correct? And so, and why was that? Because the conditions were ideal. And the clear way of thinking of why would a bunch of water up in the atmosphere be ideal? There's no UV rays coming through and degrading skin, etc. And maybe the quality of the oxygen is different also. So the oxygen is no longer oxidizing us so easily. So but where else is there water? Just in the firmament?
There's a verse in Revelation that talks about the fountain of life, right?
Yes, and we'll be getting.
How do you think that?
Yeah,
How do you think that fits in?
Well, and we're going to get to that in the following verses. But there's also an eternal spring of water.
Oh, that's nice.
Okay, and that spring of water is going to come out, and there's going to be 4 rivers.
Yeah, and with the tree.
All right.
With the tree who brings healing.
So okay, I missed. You said the tree will bring healing.
Healing.
Ah.
healing leaves.
Healing leaves.
Okay, and we're going to see that when we get to these verses. But so yes, we have drinking water. Just to answer the question, there still is water.
Yes.
And it's coming from the source, and it sounds like it's an eternal spring in Jerusalem, and that goes out, and from the sound of it, that's able to irrigate the entire earth. Not only give us as much water as we need, but gives the earth whatever extra water is not enough from the heavens. And so, Monica, once again, you're the lucky one tonight. So Psalms 148 verses 4 and 6, please.
Praise him, ye heavens of heavens, and
He waters.
he waters that be above the heavens. He held also established them forever and ever. He had made a decree which shall not pass.
Thank you. Very well said. And so who has that in Portuguese, please? Remember, it's only verses 4 and then 6.
Louvai-o, céus dos céus, e as águas que estão sobre os céus. E os confirmou eternamente para sempre. E ele deu decreto que não ultrapassará.
Thank you. Did I get that number wrong? I think I just here, my page finally opened. All right, thank you. So any suggestions on the Portuguese, ladies?
I think céus dos céus.
Céus dos céus.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, very good. So there it is. So between Psalm 148, verse 4 and 6, we see that praise him, ye heavens of heavens, and ye waters that be above the heavens. That sounds like that's water up back in the firmament. And he, God, has also established them forever and ever. So they're coming back. And so we're going to have waters up in the firmament again. So wonderful. Before we end, any questions or comments? All righty.